Hello everyone, welcome
Hi.
to Knowledge Exchange Conclave on Infectious Disease Control. I, Harshal Desai, part of editorial team at eHealth Magazine and Elis Technomedia Private Limited. I welcome you all in the 10th edition that we have been organizing with support of Viatris. I welcome all the panelists in this 10th edition, and as you all know, entire world is right now going through tough times. We are all facing a major pandemic across the world. All the hospitals, government ecosystem, healthcare ecosystem across the country, across the world, right now in the middle of this pandemic and trying their best to fight and recover from this uh, bad time. I welcome you all in this panel discussion, which we have kept on infectious disease control, not just COVID, also uh, tuberculosis and hepatitis. As I informed you, eHealth Magazine has been organizing these editions with the support of Viatris, and we thank the organization for encouraging us and helping us in conceptualizing the infectious disease control conclave. Today, without wasting uh, much time, I would like to introduce all the experts who have taken time out from their busy schedule and joined us for this panel discussion. I welcome Mr. Devanand K. He is Chief Executive Officer at Esther Prime Hospital, Esther DM Healthcare. Welcome, Mr. Devanand K. in this panel discussion. We are
Thank
glad
you.
to have Mr. Rakesh Agrawal, Supply Chain Head at Indian Spinal Injury Center. Welcome, Mr. Agrawal, to this panel discussion. We also have Mr. Pradeep Mishra, Group Head, Supply Chain Management at Paras Hospital. Welcome, Mr. Pradeep Mishra, to the show. I welcome Mr. Sanjay Bajaj, Vice President Purchase, Rainbow Children Medicare Private Limited, to this panel discussion. I also welcome Mr. Naresh Hasija, Associate Vice President at Mylan Pharmaceutical Private Limited, a Viatris company. Thank you so much, Mr. Hasija. As I informed everyone, Neeta Pawar shall also join us after some time in this panel discussion. So I would first like to request everyone for a 2 to 3 minute opening remark on the subject infectious disease control, including COVID-19. How has been your experience within your hospitals, within your institutes, within your institutes and organization? And after that, we will start with the questions for each panelist. First, I'll request Mr. Devanand K, who is Chief Executive Officer at Esther Prime Hospital, Esther DM Healthcare, to share his opening remark on this subject. Over to you, Mr. Devanand K.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Harshal. It's too early a question to answer this particular, the question posed by you. Basically, the pandemic is still not over, so we are still learning.
Yes.
Obviously, there is a lot more to learn, and the experience that we have got is for a lifetime. So the good thing is that at least we have some experience now to equip ourselves and handle such situations. The only thing I would say is that this has been a very very exhaustive kind of experience for everyone, and the especially since the topic is related to procurement, I can see all the other panelists are very very reputed people and very what do you say experts in their area. Probably I am the only odd man out in this group. The procurement, the power of procurement has come out really well in this times, tough times. We all have understood, these people were really the, what do you say, the invisible workers in a healthcare. Now they are brought into limelight due to this pandemic. That's what I have to say. And this infection control, maybe it COVID or any pandemic or anything related to healthcare, procurement is a major function that plays a vital role not only in the clinical care but also in providing the best affordable care also. So it's a learning experience when COVID is considered. But procurement, we at our group basically we keep procurement very close to our hearts. Especially all unit heads have direct reporting of procurement guys in our units. That signifies the importance of the particular function. And The procurement function as it is, while other panelists also will have their experience to share, what we could understand is it has been a very, very difficult time for the procurement team in our hospital, adjusting to the market flexibilities. And the market dynamics also was very different in terms of availability and pricing of the items. So we are learning. We will learn by understanding from each other, and when the situation emerges, we will learn more. So that's the only thing that I have to say as a opening remark. We'll hear. Thank you.
Rightly said, sir. We are still in learning phase, and I'd like to move to our next panelist, Mr. Rakesh Agrawal. What has been your learning? You're heading the supply chain at Indian Spinal Injury Center. Will you please share your comments?
Yeah. Good evening, all. If I'll say the learning is really huge learning while this situation came to the India, and this COVID has changed the definition of the supply chain also. So supply chain works on the history of the data, and data is now completely changed. They are the items which are the new in the system. So based on those database, we people are working, but for this there was no database, and from scratch we people are starting. And still, as I said, Devanand said, it's we are still learning, and we are also still learning for the COVID. And second phase when came when the staff was there and they are not able to join the duties due to the transportation issues and other issues were there. So things has to manage in that those front also. The same excuses we were getting from the vendor side also, and not getting the supplies from the other areas, other states, or we can say the import from the countries. In that case also we were fighting with them for the getting the materials. And they are also not getting their stuff in the office due to the transportation issues. So I will say it was a totally new learning for us, the people who are in the maybe in the decades from the decades in the supply chain area. And learning is still learning. It's not the end. And in detail we'll share next one. We'll start the questions and answers, and then detail we'll discuss all these issues what we have faced and how we are managing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I move to Mr. Sanjay Bajaj. Mr. Sanjay Bajaj is the Vice President Purchase at Rainbow Children Medical Private Limited. And I'd like to request him if he could share supply chain and how you're combating the disruption during the COVID-19. Sanjay Bajaj. You're mute, sir. Please unmute. Please unmute, Mr. Bajaj.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. And I would start with the remark which Mr. Devanand made that the purchase personals have come into limelight during this pandemic. I would say that this infection control word has come into the front stage from the backstage, which was there from the beginning. Now each and every child and every person on the globe knows this word. This infection control word has become a hero of today's time. And now, as a supply chain, we have learned a huge. In fact, there was no prehistoric any data available for this type of pandemic, and nobody was prepared for this type of scenario to happen. And by this pandemic, we have learned, and now we are gearing up to prepare ourselves for times to come. Hopefully, this will give a better lesson, and we may write some history for our next generation to come, so that in coming times they may be ready for the challenge, and they can learn some lesson out of our learnings. This can be my starting remarks. Let's continue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sanjay Bajaj. Moving to Mr. Pradeep Mishra, Group Head Supply Chain Management at Paras Hospital. Mr. Mishra, how has been your experience? And if you could also brief us on how you are combating the disruption during COVID-19 at Paras Hospital.
So thanks, Harshal, for the question. So the disruption in supply has been huge in Paras hospitals as well as the other hospitals also. The COVID period has impacted the availability of essential supplies, number one. Number two, there has been a huge spurt in the pricing of essential supplies. If you talk about the essential items like masks, gloves, and PPE kits, there was a huge price increase in these items. Then we used to go here and there to find out the suppliers, the right manufacturers for these kind of items. So slowly and gradually we were able to find out, but still there are certain disruptions in the supplies of masks and these gloves. So this was the major impact of disruption in the supply chain. Apart from that, there were during the lockdown period, there were unavailability of the data. Because of that unavailability of the data, we were not able to compile what is required, what is our consumption. The consumptions were very low. We were not able to control our procurement. So these disruptions have taught us that in these type of situations how to manage our supply chain, and we have prepared ourselves to fight better in these type of situations.
Right, right. Thank you so much, Mr. Pradeep Mishra. And after we hear from all the hospital supply chain head, I would request Mr. Hasija. Hasija belongs to one of the biggest pharma organization in the country, in the world. How has been your experience, the trend that you have seen while dealing with hospitals or supply chain head, especially in COVID-19 period, Mr. Hasija?
Thank you, Arshal, and would like to really thank everybody for joining the session. And really good to hear that side of the story, where I think a lot of price hike over there, a lot of essential commodities, as well as there was no predictability data was available. And I think at that moment, predicting and making supplies is again it's a big challenge. For us as we address, I think I will say that we are actually partner to a lot of governments across the world. Our major businesses partnership with the governments as well as with large corporate chains across the world. So I think as an organization, we predicted it little before, and we wanted to make sure our facilities are running day and night.
Hmm.
And if our facilities are running, if our employees are coming on time, if they are safe, I think our factories will continue to run. So we made sure a lot of regulatory approvals, uh, lot of desired uh, breaking their lockdown kind of concepts. We took it before time, and I think our factories were up and running because we are the largest supplier of essential drug across the world. So I will say
Right.
that with regard to essential drugs, there was no shortage from Mylan side. And when COVID pandemic came, and we were actually, I will say that one of the fastest innovation which we brought in India on time is again remdesivir. So maybe all of you must have already experienced in the respective hospitals, and I think this was fully lyophilized, and kind of challenges initially we faced, and when it came into the market, I think now we have served more than at least we have impacted at least 300,000 lives in India by now. I
Right.
will pause here, Harshal.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Hasija. One of our panelists just spoke about the availability of data. We all are seeing across the industries, across the sectors, data is the key. If we have the correct data, half of our problem are solved. Do you think this question is to all the panelists? I'll start with Mr. Devanand KT, CEO Western Prime. Do you think hospital leaders need more viable data today? Most rely on data at the point of purchase to achieve total supply chain viability. What are the requirements? If you can share your input on this, Mr. Devanand.
See, the purchase function or the supply chain or the procurement, whatever terminology that we use for that, it was only a function. Historically, this has been, following a pattern of, getting the best rates and, how to control the cost, the lead time, tat of purchase. So these were the functions which the procurement leaders were basically focusing. Probably few organizations across the globe had moved to a different level of engaging the procurement team, where they were involved in other areas of healthcare, where the better care can be provided to the patients at affordable cost. So that's what I also mentioned in the opening remark. So whatever we say in India, in our country, the basic issue being, even though we say there are statutory controls, most of the time what we see is that efficiency of the control by the statutory bodies is not very effective. Basically, because if a drug, you would have seen the market, by the time the batch is declared as inferior, the entire medicine would have been sold in the market, because there is a dearth of people or officials working, and obviously there is a, what do you say, a little bit of complacency in the system also, makes it very, very difficult for a country like India to, go into a different model of, the pricing pattern, basically. So data is obviously very much required. But during the COVID times, we have seen a lot of positive, instances. For example, I'll tell you the same way, like the drugs, remdesivir, or the other drugs being used for COVID. We had a very high level of scarcity for those when we were treating the patients. So as the people leading the organization from the front, we have to get it for our patients. So things were available in the black market. Patients were getting it from some place, but we were not able to reach these drugs. So ultimately, we at different hospital, at the leadership level, we started networking on transferring some stock from one hospital to other, and thereby getting more synergy of utilizing our own procurement teams synergies, basically. So what I would say is that even if you say whatever is that, say for example, a competitor hospital may not share, even Aster for that matter, may not share the pricing pattern or the consumption pattern of the unit with other competitors. So obviously that data is not available for the others, or the good practices being followed in one unit is not available to other unit. Forget about other competitors. Even among the same group, sometimes what happens is that this data is not shared between different units. So what happens is we have to rely on the point of purchase data, which may get fluctuated based on the market dynamics. So obviously, this data at a national level, if somebody can collate all the data and provide us with a kind of pricing slabs and more control can be brought into the misuse of the drugs, and making more stringent mechanisms for removing the inferior quality drugs or any other drugs. I'm just saying drugs, any other thing related to any other consumable disposable also in the healthcare can bring a lot of efficiency
hospitals. So we restricted ourselves so well, not even a single vial was given in patient's hand. It was only given into hospital pharmacies. So overall, if you see pricing point, as we were discussing, I think pricing is directly proportional to supplies. Now you can see the price change which has come in from day one till today. I think there's a huge price change, and we will continue to pass on this benefit of economy of scale to all the corporate hospitals. That is a commitment we have with the industry. So I'll pause here, Arshad.
Thank you, Mr. Hasija. Glad to inform that Ms. Neeta Pawar from Godrej Memorial Hospital, she's supply chain head there, has also joined us. But before I go to Ms. Neeta Pawar with my question, I'll request everyone. We have just a 5 to 7 minutes slide PPT from Mr. Devanand K. So I would request him to please. It's a very interesting one. I'll request him to please flip through the PPT and please talk about it briefly. And after then, I'll come to Ms. Neeta Pawar with my next question. Over to you.
Harshal, thanks. I think we are already covering it through the question, so probably it may look very basic now because we have covered more than that now. But anyway, since this is part of the program, I'll just quickly take it through.
Yes.
I hope you are able to see the screen. Yeah, so this is basically about, the topic was very interesting, basically connecting procurement with the infection control. Even though we are talking more about pandemic, I thought the general thing of connecting infection control and procurement was a good thing. That's something that usually we don't see. So the procurement, the infection control way, that's the slide that a few slides I've just tried to explain that. So we all know that patients get admitted to hospital, expecting a good care and return to their good health. But large number of patients end up with a hospital-acquired infection, ultimately getting admitted. There are multiple reasons, but also there is the failure of the supply chain system, which is also one of the reasons for this hospital-acquired infection. So procurement team now has to provide an additional value to the customers by, highly added products and services to end users. And through supply chain efficiency, they also have to bring in the cost benefit also to the patient parties. So procurement function now, as we all know, has transformed over the years from strategic buying, sourcing, contracting, inventory, vendor management, expenditure, payables to sourcing value to the customer. That's the most important thing even the procurement or supply chain team is doing now. And they also improve the efficiency and outcomes of the patient care or the service levels, of improvement in service levels, and harnessing the full capability of this entire healthcare system by capturing the additional value for patients. So what actually should be the additional value for the patient from a procurement or a supply chain, which is improved clinical outcome, shorter procedure times, reduced length of stay, reduced infection rates, increased operational efficiency. This will look like more of a clinical, outcomes or indicators, but this is well in sync with the procurement or the supply chain also nowadays. But unfortunately, there are a lot of challenges. For example, a lot of things have come through the pandemic when the proper quality of gloves was not provided. People were using dual gloving, So obviously there is a lot of wastage if the quality of gloves is not correct. And people will be hesitant to use those PPEs, which are lacking quality. So obviously that will result in employee, morale as well as the type of care they give. So there are a lot of ways we can connect, but due to paucity of time, I'll just quickly go through it. But these are also the main challenges or the goals for a procurement or a supply chain team also now. What are the challenges? Supply chain team was never considered a part of or integral stakeholder in this entire effort of infection control or the care giving, that kind of function. So there is no proper internal structure. They were just considered somebody who's just best negotiates with somebody and gets things for the healthcare. But their involvement in actually delivering to the end user was never given that kind of an importance. And obviously, there is no standard defined industry process also for this particular function, which is a very important function. Lack of efficiency of statutory control, which I already mentioned, on product quality, availability, and pricing. It's just actually again a big challenge that the supply chain usually faces. They have been only focusing, the P&L heads usually give the procurement team the only challenge is on the commercial inventory management and the lead time. And complicate unnecessarily and burdensome processes, a lot of delay in red tapeism, increases likelihood that end users will take shortcuts. So obviously they bypass the end users, especially nurses or somebody, even if they don't get through a proper intent, do not get something which they were asking for. They start using a shortcut method, and they use some inferior products, which will ultimately lead to a proper not giving, and we'll end up giving a bad kind of a care to the patients. So development of infection control product selection policy document is essential. This is now the way we are moving, because the pandemic has taught us a lot of things. So more organizations are coming, with the development of an infection control product selection policy. Identify the correlation between the supplies and the clinical outcomes. This is something which many organizations have started doing now through quality-focused data sets. And though before the purchase is made, the potential infection control risk associated with this product are assessed, and then which are categorized, identified, and the procurement process itself is modified to accommodate such products. So all purchase decisions now, most of the organizations, who follow the good practices are through a formalized multidisciplinary committee of hospital stakeholders and subject matter experts, doctors. There may be doctors, nurses, infection control team, the procurement team. Everyone is part of it. So they identify the needs. They on different, how we buy, they evaluate the product and its quality, its certification, everything. And a goal is assigned. What is the ultimate goal of this particular product? Is it to improve the satisfaction of the employee, or is it to improve the patient care? So all these are assigned clearly, and the purchase process is made. How much we should buy, from where we should buy, and where do we stock it? All these things have been a big challenge now during this tough time. So all these are answered by this committee, and they suggest a safe, effective, less expensive alternatives also. So another thing is that anything purchased by the supply chain team has to be used properly. So there has to be a proper imparting of training and competency all the employees. And also there has been, because most of the hospitals are now accredited, there is a register called a risk register, where you assess a product based on its risk, which it can cause a harm to a patient or an employee, and maintain a risk register and blacklist those products by not buying it. And technology, I think Mr. Pradeep had actually mentioned about it. So automated technology which can deliver supply chain data, analytics, and real-time visibility of the inventory available, which has actually reduced the burden also for the supply chain team. So these are a few things which we have learned from pandemic. So buy always higher quality. Do not compromise on quality, because infection control and quality are directly related. So there cannot be any compromise on the quality. Certifications, many times people come and say that we will supply so much, and then we have ended up in big issues because we never relied on certifications in the initial period. But then we started asking for certifications. Some kind of certification always will give that weightage. Continuous follow-up with the critical and local suppliers, this has been there. But also we used to look at alternative sources, different countries, how to get it. China was almost like not possible, so we were looking at different other sources, different other states, different other manufacturers. So a lot of things were done. There was an instance where it's like a small scale industry, where women's were they were wearing the masks. So we had to actually, when there was an acute shortage, we had to even resort to get things from them. So there were a lot of sources that we were looking at during these tough times. Storage and movement of was a big challenge. That is something which we have learned now, how to adjust to the situation. Incremental ordering based on situations. Like Mr. Sanjay was saying, you always stockpile certain things thinking that it may not be available. And then you end up, getting into the expiry mode. So incremental ordering, we were actually ordering based on the requirements. So we were also transferring from units to units, where some stock was higher, where the numbers or the quantity was higher, we were shifting to other units to adjust. That was another thing was done was on focus spending on essentials. What payments, especially the payables, becomes a big issue when the revenues are, really affected. So there was a focus spending on essentials, what to spend. COVID essential was the first priority, then the other essential and non-essential. So 3 categories spending was planned like that. And there was an immediate response team. Even the India procurement team was, on an emergency mode. Anytime any unit asked, they were responding. I think most of the other hospitals, organizations also would have done that. And planning ahead. Now we are doing the forecasting for the things to come. Like that was the first question. So we were looking at the options of getting things at at an all India pricing, and how to stock to overcome the future situations. And as I mentioned, collaborate with regional players. Like, if I knew that Mr. Sanjay had a stock of remdesivir, probably I would have taken from him. But there is no data. But I had been in contact with many other leaders, and we have been able to get that. But then I think more collaboration is required to make it more effective. So this is just to connect the infection control, the supply chain and infection control can go hand in hand if the proper data sharing and also more collaborative synergistic partnerships comes in. So that's what the presentation is, just a basic presentation. I thought initially I would just lay the context to the entire topic. So
You highlighted several important elements, Dr. Devanand. We must appreciate it. I mean, and welcome Ms. Nita Pawar. Taking clue from what Mr. Devanand has just spoken, that the role of supply chain heads were never so significant. He has mentioned it in his presentation. How do you see it has changed? Uh, in the times of COVID-19. Can you brief us about the initial days of managing the supply chain and how you combating the disruption during COVID-19 now?
I would like to say one sentence. Supply chain managers are like working like a roller coaster ride, continuously facing the disruption. Means really hats off to them, all supply chain managers, because it's not an easy job. Procurement and staffing, everything is very difficult for us. Procurement, like when there is a shortage of injections like Remdesivir and Tocilizumab, whatever issues all supply chain managers has faced, I know related to that. And even for the staffing, staffs are not ready for the joining the duties. And even awareness, quality, finance issues, everywhere they want advance payment. Without that, there is no supply. Like that means like 45 days, 60 days, 90 days credit period, those hospitals are giving now, we are giving advance payment for the material because of available means the requirement was very high. And actually this related to this pandemic, I can tell you this medicine supply is proper, then it can control, we can control this pandemic very nicely if there is a proper supply of medicines. And but we have faced too many issues related to this medicine supply. But but I want to tell one thing about this supply chain, that medicine sometimes what happen, there is a throughout supply from company for the all the this zones, but wherever requirement is there, they are not supplying that zone enough stock. That I have suggested this all the companies, that now north is required or south is required, you suggest you supply there that area more stock. Don't supply even stock to all the zones. That we are facing issue with that supply. Even procurement, we can tell you about this sending stock. We used to send directly to the suppliers for the medicines and for everything.
You are on mute. You are on mute. You go on mute, Miss Nita Pawar. Yeah.
Sorry. And even for the PPE kits, that staff is convenient what which quality and everything, that DRDO certification. Even for the N95, too many complaints, because I think we used to purchase around we used to take samples, around 100 samples we have taken from the 100 vendors. After that, staff satisfaction, and even I used to take according to the quality and that everything certifications and all, because I believe on the quantity and patients. This user satisfaction is very important from my point of view. I believe that one. Then I used to take all the samples, everything, and everyone we are taking the feedback from all the these users. Then we have started all the means like DRDO, CIDRA certification. We have checked, and then we have procured the products like PP, even for the sanitizers. This all the procurement part was very difficult for managing for us, because too many complaints were there. Like this is not there, this certification, MRP. Right now also we are facing issue with the MRPs and all costing. That how this supply chain really, I can tell you that miss whatever problems we have faced, but we have gone through that. We have learned so many things that we are to, and everyone knows about our now. Everyone is aware of our importance. Otherwise, we are at the backhand. Everyone was thinking what the supply chain is doing. But everyone, because of this pandemic, everyone comes to know these all supply chain managers are very important for the community. As
Certainly.
yeah.
Yes. No,
And
this is right. In times of COVID, several misconceptions. We have come to know what is the fact, and we all have seen new things coming up. We all have, seen how department or people, certain category of staff which were not earlier that imperative or significant in times of COVID, they have come forward, and we have been able to understand the significance and importance of every division of a hospital management system. To Mr. Rakesh Agrawal, I'd like to ask
even
this thing. Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead, Ms. Nita.
actually, one suggestion I can give you, miss, everyone is thinking backhand person what they are doing, but they can also help you for the this if they will constant awareness is there related to them. They can help you for the community for all the miss reduce these reactions, and they can educate their staff also, other community also. That's why I think related to infectious diseases, constant awareness and constant means training is required for the backhand staff also. That is very helpful for reducing this infectious diseases.
Right.
And
Right.
you should give importance to them also.
Very true, very true, Ms. Pawar. Mr. Rakesh Agrawal, you have anything to comment on what Nita Pawar said? And also, I would request you to share your thought on how do you communicate, those emergency response plans to your employees.
See, I agree with Rita because the supply chain job has become very tough at this time when this COVID has started. Initially, like when we were buying any PP kit or any N95 mark, because branded N95 marks were not available in the market. So our conscience was not allowing that what we are buying, it is good or safe for our staff or not. Because if we are buying anything and if quality is not good, our staff will be infected, and that our conscience was not allowed. And everybody was thinking about it in that way first. Second, when this COVID came, and people were thinking, and there was no quality parameters were available with the data. Again, the data points come here, and with the non-normality of this information and the thing, whatever the available in the market, we people were buying. What are the certificates vendors were providing? People were relying on that, and the trial has been made. Samples were given to the user. Sometimes samples were not available, but that was a panic situation. And I still till the end of the buying or closing and any initial buying when this COVID came. Initially, internally, we were thinking about are we buying the right product for our employees or the patient first. Second, now coming how we are planning to outcome. So no, nobody can plan till now because COVID. There is no data history of the COVID also. Again, that things come to the COVID. So there is no history of the data like and what will the future of the COVID. Nobody knows. So still we people are learning, and based on the learning we are planning how to come out like staff. Now the backup of the staff has been made like the rotation has been made like this. If someone is not there, someone will be absent due to the any issue. You can say transportation, some issues, and so backup has been created. Like I'll give the example of my procurement. So guy who was handling the pharmacy, he has been trained for the non-medical and other areas also. And coming to the again like planning, whatever the expense we had in the last 6 months, the planning has been made in the such way. But future nobody can predict. But how this COVID will turn out and how the situation will come. That's
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rakesh Agrawal. I'd like to go to Mr. Sanjay Bajaj, and I'd like to ask him this particular one question. Do you think the pandemic will lead to a better forecasting and stockpiling of supplies, or do you think it will be just and difficult to predict what will happen in month in advance? Mr. Sanjay Bajaj.
Yeah. It's not about planning is definitely a must, whether it is a pandemic or non-pandemic. But now it has time to come. We have to have a collaboration between the suppliers and the purchasers. collaboration only will, because it is a how much we can pile up the stocks, how much we can keep ourselves ready for such pandemic. Because our working capital, if stuck, that leads to a huge uh, problem in our P&L statement. So we have to focus on how to be more collaborative with the manufacturers, with the distributor, and to align with their views so that they also share the burden of our inventories with them. And that is the only way out. Otherwise, initially, when this pandemic started, we were beating around the bushes, as told by our other panelists. We did not had any data in place. We did not had any sort of regulations in place. And moreover that, what we did not had a choice. Whatever was coming out of our way, we were trying to purchase so that we can satisfy our clinical community, so that they are fearlessly giving the services to our patients. But now the things have stabilized, and now the PP is manufactured in the nooks and corners of the country. I think all tailors have also started manufacturing PPEs. So, and similarly, we have seen the dearth of N95 mask. Now the prices have stabilized to the tune of 3-ply mask. I think N95 has come to that same tune. But nevertheless, saying all these things, definitely planning has to be done more analytically. It cannot be done manually. Now we have to put AI into place. Now we have to put robotic in place, so that this type of, because in healthcare industry there is no constant like a curve for predictions. We have to rely with the seasons. We have to rely with such type of pandemics. So it is only the AI tool which can help us in giving us a very periodic analytical data out, so that we can work on that, and we can. So as far as our organization is concerned, we have gone back to IT team and taken their help, and now we have used lot of analytical tools to help generate the data on their own through automatic versions. And we are also just trying out this data manually, whether the data is correctness is there or not. And we have found that more or less it is working very fine, and that is helping us in really controlling our inventories and getting ourselves ready for the any future pandemic as like this.
Thank you, Mr. Bajaj. You mentioned about artificial intelligence and machine learning. We have been talking about artificial intelligence a lot in our conferences, not just in healthcare sector but several other sectors. And nowadays, even government bodies are very proactively, using these tools and these latest advanced technologies. Mr. Pradeep Mishra, one question that I'd like to ask you: what are the now, pandemic is of course not yet over, and there's a long way to go, right? What are the major lessons, new skills we have gained, the supply chain heads or the supply chain department, has gained in this period? If you can share some thought on this, and what is still that is lacking? What more we need to do as a supply chain head of a hospital?
Right. So since as I earlier spoken, that the major disruptions we faced due to the pandemic situation was in availability of PPE kits, masks, and gloves. The supply of drugs were okay, and there was only issues wherein the API, the cost of API was increased, and in case of heparin and enoxaparin, wherein the cost was increased, but there was no issue in the supplies. There was little bit increase in the pricing. But these 3-4 items which are not regulated, like PPE kits, mask, and N95 mask, there were a huge black marketing going on of these products. So earlier we were not aware about who is the right supplier, who is the right manufacturer who can help us in the availability of these items. So it was a learning for us. The learning for us was that to go for the right manufacturer, to identify the right suppliers. So our database of the suppliers and manufacturers has increased quite a lot. we have now there are a lot of manufacturers and suppliers are in our database whom we can we can dependent on to make the supplies in our hospitals. Number one. Number two, that the other learning is that we need to collaborate as a hospital provider or as a group head supply or as a supply chain heads. We need to collaborate with other group hospitals also, with our representatives of other hospitals also, so that in case of like Rainbow Hospital, Sanjay told that remdesivir was expired, so that all these items which are not used in one particular hospital, and if there is a demand in some other hospital, we can collaborate with each other and we can make the item available in our stock if it is required, and if it is unused in their stock. So this is one learning. And the most important learning which we had in this pandemic situation with regard to supply chain management is that we need to know about our own systems, and also we should have our knowledge about the all the manufacturers and the suppliers, as I told earlier. So the role of the data as well as the database of the supplier becomes very important in these type of situations. If we can analyze our data, consumption data, and if we can forecast, and if we have the right kind of database of the suppliers and manufacturers with us, we can face these type of situations very easily, and I don't think there would be any kind of disruptions if we are equipped with data and database.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Pradeep Mishra. Ms. Neeta Pawar has joined us after we had your input on the medicine accessibility. This one particular question I like to ask to Ms. Neeta Pawar, and then I'll again come to everyone with my probably last question for this panel discussion. What do you think, Ms. Neeta Pawar? I mean, we are discussing a lot on remdesivir treatment, and you also spoke about it in your comments. So how do you see the access of this particular medicine in the aftermath of US FDA and WHO's different opinion on this drug?
Actually, remdesivir previously there was a shortage, but now and then afterwards one company has started with remdesivir, and that time also doctor was not that much sure about these injections. But they used to tell, we'll see, we'll check the feedback and all. But there is no surety about that drug. But doctors are using that drug, and one confusion is there. Like beginning, we used to get at high MRPs and all. We have faced issue with that. This remdesivir injection, MRPs are very beginning. It was 4,600 something MRP was there. Then it has come to 4,500 and then 2,500. Right now in Mumbai, we are facing issue with the MRPs, because this we are getting circulars ki now this many things are there, and all. Then this amount related to amount I am telling, and about the drug I want to tell ki this drug is most of all those who are used, they are mostly cured by this medicine. And now it is started in ward also, wards, ICU. Not only in the ICU it is used, now in wards also because of the protocols. But right now also doctors are not sure. They are using and patients are getting cured, but they don't know that patients why they are getting cured. But remdesivir is the drug, means it has reduced our that at least others choices, and reduce the rate of this death rate and all, at least control. COVID has controlled by remdesivir. After that tocilizumab was there, but after that remdesivir has come, and then it has there is an improvement because of this drug. But yet now also some doctors are trying to use it without prescriptions, and without COVID report also they are trying to use. But we are not dispensing because it is not a drug of choice for the without COVID. But it is actually this is a very good research that actually at least we are reached to some level for
Right.
this for the caring of patients.
Right. Okay.
Favipiravir, I want to tell, Faviflu tablets and all, when it has come, we used to there was a high consumption, huge consumption for one company. When 10 company are started, then doctors are thinking, no, this is something is there. Then they are discontinued with favipiravir. But doctors are yet they are continue on this remdesivir injection. Yes, they
Right.
have some views on this injection.
Right, right. Thank you so much, Mr. Hasija. In previously, Ms. Nita Pawar spoke about the supply of the medicine in different zones, uniformly. Right, he was talking about that when a company is offering its products, its medicines, it should be a very well distributed across the country. So, what are your opinion on this, Mr. Hasija? Have you uh, if you can talk about your distribution channels, how you are, taking care of the entire country at Viatris together.
Thanks, Arshal. So basically, what she said that is majorly wherever you have more disease, I think medicine supply or maybe consumer supply should move to that direction. I remember very clearly the case of Maharashtra. I think when things were a little serious and it was looking like it is going out of the control. I think whole administration of the state, all the respective people in different departments and hospitals who have worked day and night really made sure.
Yeah.
I think we stayed in control. The way it was controlled in Maharashtra, I think, is a fantastic example across the world. And I will say that a lot of people directly or indirectly played a major role. And this answers your question also, where like I remember 90% of our supplies were moving to Maharashtra, though there were other states which were in need. But I think everybody pitched in such a way. I think that state was the
Right.
disease was controlled very well in the state. So yes, it is the need of the hour. All companies are present across India, and I think with GST now, supply chains are very eased out. Supplies are very fast.
Yes.
Pandemic has taught us a lot of new things. How further we can speed it up, and I think when I'm hearing the group, two key things are coming up very well. Arshal,
Yes,
I'll
yes,
just
yes.
give my closing remark also here. So two things are key. One is data, and second is well forecast. I think the data, internal as well as external data, is going to be the big thing now because there was a very good example by Sanjay. Medicine was getting expired. Believe me, thousands of patients were not getting the medicine. If it was getting expired, I think interconnectivity of data in future is going to help us a lot. And in these kind of situations, how do we predict, how do we use technology in such a way each product we will require in what quantum in our hospitals? And once all this is available at hospital level or group of hospital level, this will be really helpful for organizations which are producing these, whether it is PP, whether it is medicines, whether it is other consumables. If we have some forecast to them, I think there will be uninterrupted supplies. A lot of new learnings from this pandemic. And overall, I really salute everybody. The way you all have contributed to this pandemic is really amazing.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Mr.
you. I will
Hasija.
pause here.
Now,
Thank you.
one last question to all the panelists, all the supply chain heads, and I'll request them, along with the answer of this question, they give their closing remark also. We have seen earlier, probably in be it gloves or PPE kits or any other item, we were dependent on other countries, on our neighborhood also for this supply. And then the word Atmanirbhar also came into picture, and we saw many Indian companies, manufacturing these products, which are, if I know you people are all expert, but I'm saying what I have read, that some of the products are really good in quality, probably better in quality what we were receiving earlier from other countries. How have you seen this trend where you see that, because you are in touch with all these suppliers across the country, what is your comment on this fact that really, I mean, we have started manufacturing a lot in a good quality, whether it's a PPE kit, mask, or gloves, or any other item in India? What is the trend that you are seeing now, along with your closing remark? And I'll start with Mr. Devanand first.
Thanks, Arshal. First of all, like Mr. Hasija said, I would like to congratulate all the procurement leaders here, who have been great support to us, during this pandemic. On the Atmanirbhar, Atmanirbhar is something which we all keep very close to our heart, right? India, whenever it comes, when we are sitting at home, you see something like this, you get so inspired and get motivated. But when it comes to really buying, many people don't do that. Even now, when we look at it, we feel that our Indian products are not that superior. So we always have that feeling of international being more superior than Indian. So there should be conscious effort from the government side by involving the industry leaders in, bringing them together along with this the mission. Just by announcing that Atmanirbhar may not happen. You need to have, say, for example, if they are looking at products for selling into healthcare. Obviously, all the healthcare leaders should come together, and probably the government should have a mechanism to bring everyone together and discuss this, so that we have to say that at least this much of your buying should be from India. There should be some kind of statutory norm fixed by the country. Then obviously this is for the development of the country. Everybody will be interested to do. If government puts in a proper control mechanism to ensure the quality and the price in place, who else want to buy from outside? We all love to buy from India. Actually speaking, our this should not be told in such a forum, but our India head, Dr. Harish Pillai, he had actually mentioned in one of our CEOs forums saying that, do not buy anything from China. So because obviously there are a lot of other issues also happening at the border. So he said that, try to buy, most of the products try to buy from India, local, to support the other, the local players. So, but having said that, from the government side, in coordinating it well, obviously this will happen very soon. We will hope that
right.
such
Mr. Sanjay Bajaj, your input on this in a minute, if you can please share.
Yeah, actually, this during this period, we have experienced a lot of very good products which have been carved out of Indian territory. Particularly, if I name few, that are the hand sanitizers. A very good quality hand sanitizers are there in the market, which is manufactured by Indian people. And N95 masks. Now, a lot of N95 masks are there in India, and PP kits. So, and what I think that this has led a lot of evaluation in terms of local craftsmen or local dyeing sugar industry has come into sanitizers, and textile industry has got into PP and N95, and lot of entrepreneurial opportunities have come up. And hopefully, if this mindset, what Mr. Devanand said, if this mindset can be eradicated either by pressure or by through own means, I think it will help Indian industries, Indian economy, and definitely to me and my organization believes in be Indian, buy Indian. So that would be more better and economical, because already we are struggling for our revenues. So this will help to add in our revenues, and we, the supply chain heads, are under tremendous pressure to build in a lot of new mechanism wherein we can add some revenues, because we are only, I want to pat the entire SCM fraternity, and me being one of them. So it's so that our efforts, whatever we have put in during this so much of bad situation, has really yielded in lot of savings and lot of sustainability of hospital industry. By this way, I want to pause myself.
Thank you, Mr. Bajaj. Over to you, Mr. Pradeep Mishra, for your closing remark. You're mute.
Pradeep, please unmute yourself. Pradeep, you're on mute.
Yeah. So the type of items which Indian manufacturers manufactured of a good quality are, I have seen a good quality of PPE kits, very good quality of PPE kits. So initially, a lot of local manufacturers like tailors and roadside shops, they used to, take these non-woven clothes, and they used to prepare PPE kits. Once the guideline from Government of India Textile Ministry came, then I saw a very good quality of PPE kits. The 3-ply masks are of very excellent quality. They are, as competitive as we were used to, import from other countries. Then there are very good quality of N95 masks. And the only challenge we are facing is still, at least I am facing. I'm not sure about my other colleagues. We are facing about the gloves. We are still facing the supply. There is a issue of the gloves, and I think we are not in position of manufacture the gloves in India. And if still we are manufacturing, the quantity is not sufficient enough to suffice the need of the healthcare, all the hospitals. So apart from gloves, the quality of goods is very good about of all other items. And regarding medicines, India is the hub of manufacturing medicines, so there is no issue of that. The only challenge, the little bit challenge, is that because of the API increase, there is certain disruptions in supplies of enoxaparin and heparin. Otherwise, everything is controlled. And so that is my experience. And regarding my closing remarks, I would just like to update that we should be having our internal and external data control with us. We should analyze the proper consumption, proper forecasting, and then we also have the database of proper manufacturers and suppliers who can help us in the time of these disruptions of supplies or any kind of pandemic.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Mishra. Mr. Rakesh Agrawal.
So I'll start with the word called Atmanirbhar, which came like Modi's speech, and the Atmanirbhar, we started from our house first. Like maids were not coming, and the foods we were not ordering to the restaurants, and we were making everything at home. And me and my wife, we even our children can become Atmanirbhar. We were doing the jobs which has been done by the housemates and other maids at home. So our Atmanirbhar starts from home. And second thing, coming to the like even in the office also, there are so many jobs which has been segregated, or you can say allocated to other people. Now we are doing it at our end only. So you learn, we have become Atmanirbhar in that case also. Third, coming to the Indian products. Indian products are good, but doctors and users are having a mindset that the imported products are good, and this USA, UK people are using the good products, and we don't have that much of good product. But now this situation has been taught them also that Indian products are also good. And being a supply chain people and Indian nation, Indian guy, we even HCM people, we have a responsibility to promote the Indian products to the users also. And it's a time to replace the international, you can say, outside products which are not made in India. And there's time to recover our economic growth also. A message which I want to give it to the closing remarks to the people, that is, please try to buy the Indian products as much you can. And there's a time to make your users realize that products which are manufactured in India is also good, and that can be equivalent, not the good, you can equivalent, or you can be superior than the imported you can products which you are buying. Right. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Rakesh Agrawal. And I'll now
Nita, you can start.
Get the closing remark by Ms. Nita Pawar.
This pandemic, we have learned like we should be independent. We don't have to be dependent on anyone. Without like Rakesh told me, without maid and all, we have distributed the work, and now we are managing our home. Like that, we can manage in our in India also like that. Means we don't have to depend on others. And Indian people should think about this, that if we are manufacturing on our own, we are giving that credit to our patients only. They are getting less, and because of that, reduction will be there. Like when pandemic was that sanitizer, N95 and all issue was there, then I was thinking, why everything is it from China? Why not from India? Everything is, this is also from China. Because of shortage, even for the enoxaparin syringes, we will not getting enoxaparin syringes because of shortage. So it is importing from China. Why it is like that? Why we are not independent? But at least that this pandemic has, everyone has learned. We can also do something. We don't have to depend on anyone else. And even for the thanks for the pandemic, at 50-50% I can tell. This pandemic means we have got better education, better awareness about our community. and how we can take care of others also. And even related to Atmanirbhar, I can tell you, India should not be depend on anyone else. And India should think about that कि हम किसी से भी कम नहीं. This is my last sentence.
Thank you so much, Nita Pawar. With this, we will, formally close this today's session. I am really thankful to all the.
Naresh, you can take the closing. I think Mr. Harshal is having network issue.
Sorry. No. Yeah. So I would like to thank all the supply chain heads. This was the 10th edition of the Knowledge Exchange Conclave of Infectious Disease Control, and we always had considered the role of supply chain management and supply chain head as a crucial one, and that's why today's session we had invited all the supply chain heads, and really thankful to you everyone. So I would like to of course read all the names again, whosoever all the esteemed panelists today joined us. For our delegates, once again, Mr. Devanand K, Chief Executive Officer at Esther Prime Hospital, Esther DM Healthcare; Mr. Rakesh Agrawal, Supply Chain Head at Indian Spinal Injury Center; Mr. Pradeep Mishra, Group Head, Supply Chain Management at Paras Hospital; Mr. Sanjay Bajaj, Vice President Purchase, Rainbow Children's Medicare Private Limited; Ms. Nita Pawar, Supply Chain Head at Godrej Memorial Hospital; and Mr. Naresh Hasija, Associate Vice President at Viatris. The Knowledge Exchange Conclave, organized by Elets Technomedia Private Limited and eHealth Magazine, have been supported by Viatris, and this was the 10th edition in the series. So once again, thank you everyone for joining us, taking time out from your busy schedule, sharing your opinion on this platform on the significance of supply chain management in this series of conclave. Thank you everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
भारत एक युवा देश है। विश्व में हमने युवाओं की आईटी एनर्जी के माध्यम से अपना रुतबा प्राप्त किया है और भारत इसके बात के लिए गर्व कर सकता है। दुनिया में हम आंख में आंख मिला करके बात कर सकते हैं। और ये मेरा साफ मैं हमेशा कहता आया हूँ, आईटी प्लस आईटी इज इक्वल टू आईटी। इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी प्लस इंडियन टैलेंट इज इक्वल टू इंडिया टुमारो।